Hi there, welcome to the next installment of the technical overview videos in our Partner Innovation series. My name is Ansley and I'm a program manager in the Azure IoT engineering team. And I help to drive innovative solutions that solve customers' challenges, and one of our partners is Avanade. Today, we have the honor to speak with Rasmus and Sandhya about their intelligent store solution. Now let's start with a quick round of introductions, starting with you, Rasmus.
Hi, Ansley. Thanks for having us. I'm Rasmus Hiltegard. I'm with Avanade. I'm in our Azure Center of Excellence, where I focus on AI and IoT in retail.
Over to you, Sandhya.
Thanks, Ainsley. I am Sandhya Bakshi, and I'm a data and AI solution architect in Avanade, and very excited to talk about Intelligent Store today.
All right, thank you, Sandhya. We will talk more with you later, but first, Rasmus, tell us about why the Intelligent Store.
Yeah, that's a good question, Ansley. And again, thank you for having us. I think I'll start just setting the scene here. I took a couple of excerpts before we did this recording, just talking about what we see going on out there, because frankly, it's a brand new world. Top left, we have an announcement from Walmart recently. They decided to buy 740,000 smartphones. Big decision. What's powering this? Well, we need to ask Walmart. So if we do, they talk about their people. The people will always be a competitive advantage. And they have this app now, which is AI powered to help their employees do better. Moving right, we have an excerpt from Victoria's Secret, trying to figure out who they are. They talk about store remodeling, but also saying once we sorted ourselves out, the customer has come back strongly. Bottom left, we're talking about Lululemon, one of my favorite activewear accounts. I think they recently announced they already reached their goals for next fiscal year, but we also have a quote here talking about the confidence they have in the store business and its performance, the contribution, the role the store still plays in connecting brands, guest acquisition, and driving productivity numbers. And last but not least, let's talk about the experiential retail, where you use experimentation to understand how to foster these closer relationships with customers. So basically, the question now is, what does this mean? So in our view, then, what it means is that physical stores are still at the heart of retail, and the customer is the only channel. And we've seen this throughout the pandemic in that, we got a COVID puppy. I'm not going to buy dog food and grab it and bring it home. 50 pounds of dog food is heavy. I'm going to ship it to my door. I have 3 kids, sometimes I don't even want to bring them into the store, but I can do curbside pickup. That's awesome. But sometimes I actually want to engage with products, with employees, someone who can tell me what's the better offering. Can you guide me to my next purchase? And ultimately, we believe that today's savvy and connected customers, we don't want to go shopping at predictable times and places. I want to shop when, where, and how I want. I want a fast, cheap, convenient delivery to my home, to my store, to my pickup point, whatever it might be. So a lot of what we see leading us into our Intelligent Store proposition is that we need to stop treating stores like islands. They cannot remain silent and disconnected. Instead, we need to think about them as a product that must continuously refresh. We need to add continuously new services, capabilities, evolve with the mindset and the pace of our customers, but also our employees. We see a lot of what we call retail theater out there. There's a lot of fun technology. We all love it. That's not the problem, but we need to think about this in a different way. We need a new approach in terms of how we impact store operations. And then we also need to do this in a manner that allows for scaling. It's super easy, or straightforward at least, to get one gadget up and running, but we also need to accelerate the pace and the time to value of realizing efficiency and driving cost optimization. And we need to remove the inconsistency then that recurs when you do all this in the sort of this way that you've done in the past, and build it on top of an ecosystem, a digital resilient infrastructure that allows for you to power the store framework. So instead of having me talking, let's look at a implementation that we recently made with a client here in this video.
Today, we are visiting ICA Roslagstull, one of Stockholm's finest food stores and a visionary when it comes to the modern grocery store experience. And even though I'm sure that Peter Dienhage and his team have some quality items to offer, I'm really curious to see what Avanade, Onbori and Microsoft have done in the store. So come along and let's have a look. Come here. It looks like one of the shelves are about to go empty. Let's see what happens. Indeed, the shelf is empty. I wonder what happens next. Let's have a look. Wow. What happened here was that these cameras in the ceiling, they noted the need for an employee to attend to the empty shelf. So this sent a signal to the web app, meaning that no download was required, and allowing the employee to immediately determine the corrective action that was needed and how to address it accordingly. So, another really cool thing about the solution that Avanade has built is the integration with third-party services, such as this one from Ombori Grid platform. In here, I can actually view the different products in the shelves and get more information about them. I can also filter on particular types and get more information about the products. And I can also see if there are any similar products and view more information about that. And if I need help from the staff personnel, I can just click on Get Help here. So, before we leave, there's another really cool thing I want to show you. A floor attention solution. It actually detects when something is out of place and alerts the employees via the same app that we saw before. It helps keep the store nice and clean. So there we have it, folks. Avanade's rendition of the intelligent store built on the Microsoft ecosystem in partnership with Ombori and ICA Runnskogstull. Enjoy!
So, Rasmus, what are some use cases that a retailer would find valuable from the intelligent store?
Now, great question, Ansley. So let's have this view here, basically a rendition of what you saw in the video. So we believe that the power here is really around all of these use cases and it's connecting them together. So in this instance, we see some of the things you saw in the video. There might be a shelf attention algorithm that allows you to understand what's going on the shelf. There could be digital signage that not only allows you to understand where do I find the product, what we call wayfinding, but also more product information. And then, of course, there might be a need to find a product. I can't find it, even though you told me it should be here. And by the way, I'm at the shelf, it looks empty. So can you guide me towards my next purchase? Maybe you have it in the back room. Maybe there's an alternate product, whatever it might be. So in stitching these types of use cases together, using the Microsoft ecosystem and the power of Microsoft at the cloud, at the edge, we believe that we can take best-of-breed capabilities, be it from Avanade, Microsoft native applications, or third-party vendors, and actually make them work together. Holistically, we get more power, and we can power the customer experience this way. Hey, Rasmus is here. Guide you to the right product. Is it here or not? Give us more information. Maybe send a signal to an employee. Come help me, guide me to my next purchase. Also, we see other capabilities here because eventually we also want to empower employees to do better. Make them focus on the right things. What are the signals coming out of the store? What's actually going on? Do I need to take an action over here, over here? Store operations is super important and critical when you run a store, and we understand that. So the power of all these things coming together is really what the Internet Store is all about. Powered by the Microsoft ecosystem, we have this tide that lifts all boats. Let's drive a stronger, better customer experience, but let's also empower employees to do better by giving them signals, notify them when there's a need to take action. And through this, we can drive more and more value. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later here today. But ultimately, what we believe is that the power of Avanade's Intelligent Store is about these connected systems working together. And that's really what we want to talk about here today.
Thank you, Rasmus. Let's go deeper into the technical solutions, Sandhya. Can you talk about the overall architecture and what are some key areas that help you and your team build this solution?
Sure, Ainsley. So we have stitched together various AI and IoT services from Microsoft to build the platform. We are capturing the data feeds from a variety of devices like sensors, Azure Percept, and then we are executing ML models on IoT Edge. We are also planning to use Azure Video Analyzer to orchestrate the videos pipeline in future to provide even better scalability. Azure Digital Twins are used to create a digital replica of the store. Avanade has created DTDL models for retail stores which are reusable across various projects. Our framework is based on events to send real-time signals and alerts. For example, if there is something spilled on the floor, which can be a potential hazard for the store customers and staff, we do notify store employees on their wearable devices by sending them real-time alerts. We also provide actionable insights to store managers using Azure ML and Data Explorer, like potential cost saving by refilling the shelves on time. We also collaborate with other technology partners like Ombori to provide a very powerful platform to our clients.
Wow, that sounds really extensible. Now, let's take a look at how you're managing data privacy, especially when you are using a solution such as video analytics.
Yeah, that's a great question, Ainsley. Data privacy is certainly one of the top priority for us. For example, once the image is captured, it is processed via an Azure ML model to detect the presence of any person inside it. The images with people inside them are discarded straight away, and rest of the images move to the next stage in the pipeline, where it is sent to the next ML model to fetch the desired attributes. All of this is done on-prem with only the metadata required sent to the cloud.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, you talked a bit about using Azure Digital Twin. I would like to understand, how are you modeling the retail stores and what tools are you using to help you do that?
Sure. We are using Digital Twins definition language to create the custom model for retail stores. As you can see, the data is being stored in the hierarchical manner based on the specific use cases. For example, in case of products on the shelf, the hierarchy would be stored to shelf, to product, and then we store the attributes of various products. The value of DTDL is the ability to create a template which can be refined and automated as we increase into multiple deployments across the retail stores. One tool which has been very handy in this model development is ADT Explorer, which has been inbuilt with the Azure portal. We have used it extensively, not just to build the model, but also visualize it during the development cycle.
It's great to see that your team have been on the forefront leveraging Azure Digital Twins for a long period of time, I guess. Can you talk about some key learnings that you have obtained from it?
Yeah, there are definitely lots of learnings as part of leveraging Azure Digital Twins. However, the key learning is that we need to think about scaling and cost implications. We did realize that it was very crucial to optimize the queries and keep an eye on the query units and the response message size to keep the cost under control.
Well, that's a great tip for all of us. Tell us more about how all the different components are coming together to provide insights that the retail managers can act on.
Sure. So as you know, there are quite a few devices within the store capable of sending thousands of signals every minute. Within Intelligent Store platform, we are receiving the data from different siloed solutions like refrigerators, cameras, recycling machines, etc. And we are integrating them with each other using Azure Digital Twins to provide the right insights at the right time. By using an event-driven pattern, the insights are then sent in real time to Azure Indoor Maps. Azure Indoor Maps have various widgets embedded inside it to help the store staff visualize the store digitally. The various widgets are getting refreshed every few seconds to give a real-time view of the changes that are happening in the store, such as recycling machine getting full or the customers queuing up in certain sections of the store.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, the key is sending insights to the right people at the right time. Can you, give a bit more details on how are you achieving that?
Yeah, so different kinds of alerts are displayed on the homepage of our web portal, and real-time notifications are being sent to the wearable devices of the store staff. which empowers them to derive actions based on the priority, severity, and ultimately the value. For our edge use cases, we are using MQTT protocol to transport the messages across various devices in the store.
That's a great idea to use MQTT to move the messages in all the different to different devices. Now, you mentioned a bit about value. Let's swing over to Rasmus. Rasmus, what value do the retailers get from the intelligent store?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, sometimes I'm laughing a little bit. I think it's questionable. We sometimes refer to this as science fiction. What I mean by that, we've all seen the movie. Maybe I believe it, maybe not. But regardless, I don't fully understand it. And I think that's really one of the challenges here, is that when it becomes an opportunity for us, it's where this is still a fairly complex proposition. And if we keep talking about point solutions, like I did in my example earlier, that value might get lost in that translation. Okay, I understand that there's an item on the shelf. Who cares? What's the value? Or at least, what am I to do with that information? So this is where our opportunity comes in, and the reason why we have developed Avanade's Intelligent Store the way we have is taking the power of Microsoft native Azure and cloud services and coupling them together in a way that makes the conversation more outcome-oriented. And what better way to do that than by talking about value? So in this example here, we're actually using Power Automate to attribute a value to each single notification. And then we capture the value within the twin, so that this way we can extract potential value. So I have all of these signals coming through, hundreds, maybe thousands of signals every day. What are your employees supposed to do with that? Or what's the impact for your customer? So by attributing value using a model in the background powered by Power Automate, we can now attribute value to each and every signal. And then we can use that as our guidance in terms of what action do we actually want our employees to take, because you can just follow the path of value. So what this also means that you can now allow your staff to focus on the actions that actually drive value for your organization, while also helping further your own understanding in terms of, what's my ability to capture this value? Am I doing a good job? If we look at this graph without getting overly into details, the yellow line here is basically the potential value, and the blue line is cost. So you see there's an implementation cost, and then you have some Azure costs and some other cost structures coming through over time. So this in turn might lead us to a conversation around what other capabilities should you have, or maybe there are things you shouldn't even do. It's not really that valuable. It sounded like a great idea. Technology can solve for it, but it's not really where we want to start. So we believe that this is really an immensely powerful way for us to drive a totally different conversation, a conversation oriented around outcomes and ultimately value, all powered by tech, obviously.
That's a great response, and I really love the idea of how we can bring value, right? Obviously powered by all the technology and innovations. Now we talked a bit about how these solutions for the retailers are often siloed, and what the intelligent store is bring about to bring all this and bridge it all into one solution. But Rasmus, can you talk a bit more about how a retailer can grow with this solution?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by now we all know we can point the camera at an object or an item and we can detect it. That's not the challenge these days. And rather we see the opportunity here as being the ability to connect the relevant point solution with each other to drive better business outcomes. Well, we call this capability bundling. So bundling to us is actually, let's not take on the entire world. I mean, there are hundreds, if not thousands of different capabilities, point solutions, whatever you want to call it out there. But let's bundle them together and talk about that. So it's more than a piecemeal conversation. It's actually a few things going on. Let's take one example here on the screen that we can offer today, product attribution. So this is actually bundling capabilities such as on-shelf availability, similar to what you saw in the video. You might be fronting, which is also a need for attention. Customer support, hey, I need some help, some guidance. Product education, teach me more, tell me more about these products. And then also item removals. Sandhya talked about our approach for floor attention. It's not a good thing if things are on the floor. They should be on the shelf. And then, of course, the request them to take an action here. So when we talk about bundling, it's all about stitching these capabilities together and then doing them in a bundled approach, and then keep adding more and more bundles and capabilities over time. So that's what we mean by bundles. And then if we continue onto that journey, it's also about the ability to scale. So when we talk about the intelligent store, we often talk about the need for a framework to support this ability to continuously evolve and the need for this ability to keep adding or removing capabilities as you need change over time. So here in this example, we're just looking at left to right. So we all know we have things we need to do today. So let's start there. So using the framework, then we can unlock some of these capabilities. It might be a bundle approach. It might just be, let's take these couple of point solutions and start there. But once you have the framework in place, what we want to offer up and what we can do now with Avanade Intelligent Store on top of Microsoft ecosystem is to say, you already have the framework. You already have a couple of these capabilities. Let's add another one, and let's add another one. So what's the next step in the next journey on this roadmap of yours to continuously evolve and grow over time? So if we take that one step further in turn, we're not going to do all of this on our own, right? We're Avanade. We think we're super awesome. Maybe we are. I'll let other people judge. It's all built on Microsoft, which we all know is super awesome. So that's not the problem. But there are also really fantastic partners out there. We got the Microsoft startup ecosystem. We got partners of Avanade, etc. What we want to do is bring the best of breed together. Microsoft, Avanade, best of breed ISVs. Let's take all of these components and stitch them together. And some of the partners we're working with right now, you can see here on the screen. But the point here is that we continuously intend to scan and add new ecosystem partners into this ever-evolving journey, because we all know that this is a tech world we live in. You know, there's going to be new things coming through. Tomorrow, there's going to be a new fantastic capability which we want to add. So you need a framework to unlock that ability. So these are just a few of our existing partners where ultimately we plan to land and expand with going further. And then the last piece then is, let's not forget about, you know, what this is really all about. At the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to enable these customizable capabilities to meet the constantly evolving expectations of our clients. It's a different world out there today. We expect to have the next capability up and running in weeks, maybe months. 6 months to a year, it's too slow. It's not going to happen. It doesn't fly anymore. When we do that, we need to enable the ability to deliver these seamless physical, digital capabilities that come together to power even better, stronger, more efficient, whatever word you want to use, customer experience that is also tuned for local needs. My store in Richmond, Virginia, where I happen to be located, versus Seattle, where I believe you are, and so they might be different. Maybe we have the same baseline capabilities, but then you want to have some flair in Seattle that is not needed in Richmond, or vice versa. And then also, let's not forget about the employees. We need to empower our employees to focus more on the journeys that matter.
Thank you, Rasmus, for talking about all these capabilities that a retailer can grow, right? Starting small and then picking all the different kinds of use cases that would help unlock value for their business. And all this obviously is powered by that immense solution that Avanade has created with the technology behind it. So Rasmus, you know, any last things that you would like to tell the viewers?
Yeah, sure. Hey, I know we want to scratch the surface here today in terms of all the fantastic things we can do on the Microsoft ecosystem. But if you'd like to learn more, discuss further, please don't hesitate to reach out to Avanade or connect with us on LinkedIn. And of course, if you want to see Avanade's Intelligent Store in action, feel free to visit us, as we're hopefully going to NRF in January in this crazy world that hopefully soon will open up, right? Because after all, what's better than engaging and sharing ideas with other human beings? And if we can go back to doing that face-to-face, I think that will be a lot of fun.
Right. You know, thank you, Rasmus and Sandhya, for coming to here today to share with us on the Avanade's Intelligent Store. And thank you, everybody, for watching, and stay tuned to our next video highlighting all the fantastic work that our partner ecosystem is doing for our customers to bring value to your business.